Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sustainability Live. My name is Colleen, and I'll be tonight's host. I'm delighted to be joined by three passionate, knowledgeable individuals. Tonight, with me, we have Linda Riebell. Linda is the author of the book, The Green Foodprint, Food Choices for Healthy People and Planet, and many other books. She's now completing a policy paper on endangered species, and as part of her talk, will explain how your food choices help biodiversity. We're also joined by Amanda and Dave Casey of Sustainable Rossmore. Amanda is a registered CPA, and her passion is climate activism focused on behavioral actions by individuals, businesses, and organizations. Dave worked for 27 years with Caltrans in project management, environmental impact reporting, and right-of-way. Both Amanda and Dave are Global Meatless Monday team members, and we're delighted to have them with us tonight. So first, I'll let Linda take it away with her presentation. If at any time you have questions during tonight's program, you can leave them in the chat box. The chat can be found by clicking on the speech bubble at the bottom of your screen, or when we ask for questions at the end, you can also raise your hand, either in your screen or with the raise hand function in Zoom. Go ahead, Linda.
You just need to unmute yourself, Linda. You should have.
Mute. Okay.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. Let me just say a few words about myself. I am a psychologist, and for 25 years, I specialized in eating disorders. And as I gradually became more passionate about environmental issues, it was just natural for me to think of food as a way of improving our relationship with the earth. The book, which I'll show you in a second, is from 2012. It's not brand new. It did win a couple of awards, and it's still available online. And I think it covers pretty much of what we're talking about tonight. Now, share screen. Share. Okay, just a second. I'm there. Okay, is that good for you all?
Looks good.
Okay, so I don't know how many of you know John Robbins. He really started the movement of awareness for kind eating and the conscious eating. So I was very honored that he gave me a foreword. And tonight I'll talk to you a bit about how you can have a green food print. And the good news is the solutions are here. Organic, lower on the food chain, local, family farms. The movement is growing and growing. And I bet a lot of you attending tonight know some things that I don't know. So if you have an update or a recommendation, do feel free to raise your hand, your physical hand, or your other hand.
Zoom hand.
The Zoom hand. Thank you, Tyler. And I'm going to very quickly skim through why this is so important. We're depleting our water. This is a heartbreaking picture. Amazonia is being slaughtered. Pesticides, fake food, and trash, especially plastic, which is dreadful for nature. And I suspect that people here are already doing a lot. And so thank you for attending and continuing your commitment to this. Okay, the first thing you may have done is to go organic, little or no chemicals. So what kind of chemicals? Well, there are different types of pesticides. And don't forget that these are repurposed World War II Nazi chemical warfare weapons. After World War II, the chemical manufacturer says, gee, we know how to make this stuff. What can we do with it now? And of course, they thought small doses wouldn't hurt us, but cumulatively they do. So here's an example. Peaches, 40 different residues found on peaches, carcinogens, hormone disruptors, neurotoxins. It's frightening. Blueberries, 48 pesticides. And you can find a lot of this from Pesticide Action Network. Strawberries, by the way, are the worst, which is another way of saying all the little bugs like them as much as we do. Okay. Killing pests, what about herbicides? Killing weeds, antibiotics going into the animal feed, hormones. So all in all, organic is a good thing as much as you can afford in your budget. And here are some of the certifications you can look for. Okay. And the labels, 100% organic. You can kind of look through this. It's kind of self-explanatory. And Tyler tells me the recording will be available afterwards if you want to review it. And if you're a farmer and you want to go organic, here are some of the things that you will do. You will plant cover crops, you'll rotate them. Biodiversity, that means don't kill everything on your farm. Soil and water conservation. So to become organic is a real process. And the Environmental Working Group, which I recommend to you, every year puts out a list of the Dirty Dozen. And these are the produce that are found to have the most pesticides after they have reached the market. And I just put these in mostly alphabetical order. Luckily, they also do the Clean 15. So these are fruits and vegetables that you can buy somewhat more confidently if they're not organic. Now, my second principle is eating shorter on the food chain. That means more local. I'm not going to say very much about this other than, you know, I used to love Braeburn apples till I found out they came from New Zealand. But fortunately, they started growing them here. So if you can, at the very least, eliminate from your purchases the products that come the greatest distance, because of course, packaging and transportation, fossil fuel, refrigeration. So that's the advantage of eating shorter on the food chain. And to find locally grown, I'm sure you know about farmers markets. Community-supported agriculture are farms that you buy directly from the farmer. And they either deliver to you or to a central pickup place. And grocers may sell and label locally grown foods, but that can be a bit of greenwash. I asked once at Safeway, I think, oh, this is labeled local. What does that mean? Means it was grown in the United States. Not exactly local. And growing some of your own. I can't see everybody who is here, but I bet some of you might grow some herbs or have an apple tree or grow some of your own. That is fantastic. Eating lower on the food chain, Dave and Amanda will tell you how to do this, but let me give you some of the factoids about it. Oh, wait a moment. Let me back up a minute and just give you the framework for why this is so important. You might have heard that our national food sector in dollar value is $1.1 trillion. Has anybody heard that figure?
Mm-hmm.
Well, last month, the Rockefeller Foundation issued a report, which you can get, that says the real food budget is 3.2 trillion.
Wow.
If you count diseases, treating the diseases caused by our terrible diet, water pollution, air pollution, reduced biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions. So the Rockefeller report said we identified 5 areas impacted by food production and consumption: environment, biodiversity, livelihoods, that, for example, the farm workers who get poisoned by pesticides. There's a livelihood issue. Economy and human health. This report is very interesting. It has over 100 things that all the actors in the food sector can be doing. And as a mention towards racial issues, as in so many other things, the harms have been mostly felt by people of color. Let me now just skip over to, as far as eating lower on the food chain, of course, you know that means less meat, or better yet, no meat. Now, these are some things that I love. Miyoko is actually a Bay Area native, and she's invented some incredible cheeses made out of cashews or other nuts. They are really good. And of course, you've probably heard of Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger. Let me just mention, according to the Impossible Burger website, and you can take that for what it's worth, how much they've plumped up their virtues, but according to them, your Impossible Burger required 87% less water, 96% less land, and 89% fewer greenhouse gas emissions than a cow burger. You're reducing your footprint by 73 square feet of land, 170 water bottles worth of fresh water, and greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to the average American's commute to work. And that's one burger. Okay, and I wanted to talk to you also about the beliefs that we have that have contributed to this. I think the whole excess use of chemicals, the belief is we can defeat and control nature harmlessly to ourselves. So whenever one chemical stops working, they just invent another one. Fortunately, last week, one of the worst chemicals has been banned, chlorpyrifos. You might have heard about that. It was, these are organophosphates originally developed by the Nazis. And glyphosate is another terrible pesticide. It's been removed from consumer products, but according to the Environmental Working Group, more than 250 million pounds of glyphosate are dumped on farmlands each year. So chemicals to defeat nature. Well, we're learning it's a Pyrrhic victory. Meat, the belief is animals are here for our benefit and we can do whatever we want with them. And I'm sorry to say that goes clear back to the Old Testament. The problem of waste, there's always more. I can throw away food. I can throw away paper. Somebody will provide more. The belief behind packaging is, I don't have to make my own food. Somebody somewhere will make it and ship it to me, and they will package it up. And finally, the problem with non-local food or global food, the belief is we can have everything we want when we want it, even if it is out of season. So, Tyler, how am I doing with time? Or rather, Colleen, how much time do I have left?
You have about 10 minutes more. Actually, I'd love to jump in, and I want to ask, what do you think of animal products that are raised in the same region where one lives? And what do you think of, animals that are raised based on permaculture and more ecologically sustainable methods? There's this really fascinating farmer named Joel Salatin. I believe he lives in West Virginia. And what he does is he raises small quantities of different animals and then rotates them around his farm in order to basically preserve the environment that's sustaining them, while also not raising huge quantities that will exhaust the resources. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. For those who want to be flexitarian or want to just reduce the animal products that they consume, what would you recommend?
I have heard that a long time ago, and I have not studied up on it, that if you eat food that's grown in your watershed area, you'll have fewer allergies. I have no idea if that's true. And as far as, I think I lost your train of thought about the benefits this woman you referred to. Was she talking about the health of animals?
So this farmer, his name is Joel Salatin. And what he does is he raises the animals in accord with permaculture. So what that means is using the harmony that already exists in nature to raise animals and plants together. So for example, having a chicken tractor and rotating the chickens around so that their waste fertilizes the grass, which then feeds the cows and so on. So that's a really simple example, but that's something that could be used.
Okay, well, of course, permaculture is a wonderful alternative to monoculture, these gigantic 1,000-acre fields. But I am a vegetarian, almost vegan, and I kind of flinch when I hear animals being raised for food. So maybe some other people would like to comment either now or afterwards. We're going to have a question and answer period.
Yeah, I think that's a good discussion for our question time because there are multiple threads. There is the moral argument about taking the lives of animals, and then there's the environmental argument that you're making, Linda, and then of course there's the health argument as far as what we're taking into our bodies, and all of them have a part to play. And Sustainable Contra Costa, you would assume, is presenting just the environmental argument, but we're really not. Our work really touches on every aspect of people's lives, and we want everyone to be healthy in all the different ways. So this is an appropriate conversation, but maybe we'll let you finish your presentation, and because I think Dave and Amanda will have some things to say about that as well.
Yes, good. And I've peeked at their PowerPoint, and they'll walk you through beautiful ways of eating more sustainably.
Yes.
And there are two other things I want to mention. Of course, food waste is considered just a lamentable kind of carelessness. on some parts. Some of the food is lost at each stage of transport. And of course, we're just responsible for our own kitchens, but you can make sure to use leftovers. And the other thing you can do is compost, because remember, everything we eat ultimately comes from the soil. Even if you are a flexitarian and have some animal foods, they are fed plant foods. So composting is a fabulous thing you can do. And if I could kind of draw toward a close with the good news, the organic market, the share of our food supply has been growing enormously year after year, to the point where even at Safeway, like at least my Safeway, 50% of the produce department is organic. So they know there are people out there. The issue has been raised, oh, what difference does one person make? Well, the manufacturers follow the market, and organic has been growing because people have been choosing it. So our choices matter. And I just recently looked up, and I really made a mistake here. I wanted to invest in the Impossible Burger. I heard they were going to go public, but I lost my note and I didn't. And boy, am I sorry. They are now worth $1.4 billion. So that's just to show you that the big markets do follow what we do. Now, let me see if I think I have, could I quickly squeeze this in?
Yes, go ahead.
You can save prairie dogs, wolves, and ferrets with your food choices. Eating less beef, because land is cleared, prairie dogs are slaughtered, and the ferrets that are predators of the prairie dogs were declared extinct some years ago until a few were found. So that's how you can save those endangered species. What about octopus? Isn't that one gorgeous?
Mm.
The ocean fishing industry is frightening. They send out huge trawlers with nets a mile long that reach to the bottom of the ocean. The mud trails kicked up by these nets can be seen from space. They've been reported from the International Space Station. That's how much these trawlers ruin the ocean. So what you can do for all these endangered species, eat less fish or seafood entirely. And shark fin soup, oh my God, they catch them, slice off their fin, then throw the shark back in to die a slow death. They should be afraid of us. They should have a movie called Humans. Anyway, so I will finish by saying thank you all very much. And now let's hear Dave and Amanda walk us through eating lower on the food chain.
Okay, you guys can unmute now. I think I gave you that permission. Okay, go for it.
And I will share my screen now, Tyler.
Yes, that would be great.
Which is it, Mandy?
We'll go here.
No, I don't think so.
And then you go to PowerPoint. Do you go to share? And then go to PowerPoint. You have to drag this out of the way.
We can see it, but can you put it on the slideshow format? There you go. And you guys are muted again. There we go.
Hi. How does that look, Tyler?
Perfect.
Great. Hi. This is Dave and Amanda Casey. We live in Rossmore in Walnut Creek, and we've been eating lower on the carbon chain for about 2 years. We want to share some of our experiences and some of our tips with you about eating lower in the carbon chain. But first of all, what does eating lower on the carbon chain really mean? And I guess it means eating more plant-rich meals that include beans, legumes, grains, nuts, fruits, vegetables, and eating less livestock, eating less beef, lamb, pork, chicken, and dairy. So, by the way, it's also one of the actions listed in the Cleaner Contra Costa, the Sustainable Contra Costa's Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge, of which we have a team, and that's one of the things that we have chosen for actions that we're going to do. So, down.
All right, we're going to start with some disclaimers before we get into this. We are not dietitians, nutritionists, or doctors, so we've done our own research, but we want to make sure that you look into this for yourself. We would recommend the importance, reading up about it and the importance of B12 if you're considering eating more plants and reducing your meat. And we are flexitarians, and we still have a few animal products in our diet. I sometimes like a good piece of cheese, but definitely beef and lamb are off our menu. Those are the most intensive animals around. We are not gourmet chefs, so when you see our recipes and some of the things that we do, take in mind, this is how we cook at home. And we do eat some substitute meat products, especially when we're introducing other people to eating more plant-forward meals.
So why eat lower on the carbon chain? There's many reasons, but one reason is climate change. And in this chart, you'll see the number of pounds of carbon dioxide equivalents per serving of food. And the tall gray one on the left is beef. And as you go down, you go through cheese and pork and chicken, eggs, and finally down to rice and legumes and other plant crops that are very, very low in production of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases. So that I guess the text says that greenhouse gases from food production are a major contributor. Sometimes they say that they're equal to the transportation contribution, but of all of these food items, beef contributes 30 times more greenhouse gases per serving or per pound than vegetables and other plant foods. So this is the reason why we suggest that eating lower on the carbon chain is planet friendly to our Earth.
Right, and I'd also say that Project Drawdown, which is a very authoritative source, says that eating lower on the carbon chain and reducing food waste are two of the most impactful ways that we can quickly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I'm gonna let someone else in, or okay, we like to cook, but it's got to be fast. You're going to hear about some great gadgets that help us. We don't make any money off of them either. It's got to be easy and flavorful, varied. We like to have leftovers for the next meal so we don't have to cook every time. We like to keep out the heat out of the kitchen, especially on days that are 95 to 100, so that we don't have to run our air conditioner. And mostly we eat our meals at home, and we frequently eat with our parents and children and friends. And I want to thank my children and friends and former colleagues who are on here tonight.
I think that's a personal thing. Okay.
Why doesn't it go?
He's allowed to do
Down.
that.
I do. Down.
Got to click on the screen and then push the down button.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, some of these are just some of our favorite gadgets. This is a zoodler that turns zucchini into noodles. This is our 35-year-old Cuisinart. We love our immersion blender. I'm going to show you some recipes later. Our glass storage so that we don't use plastic, so that we can store our food and have good leftovers for later. We have a tofu press, and the other one I really like is this microplaner for zester for zesting lemon and other products.
Oh, we got to go back one. So planet-friendly plates, we certainly want to be healthy, and planet-friendly plates should look like this. 50% or half a plate of vegetables and fruit, a quarter from protein, and then a quarter for grains and starches. And as we go through the rest of the presentation, keep this in mind, and we'll cover these things in our presentation of how we are eating lower in the carbon chain.
So here's some examples. When we think about our meals, we really think first about the vegetables and trying to fill up the plate. So we cook lots of vegetables in our air fryer out on our deck. And this is some bok choy. And here you see an egg. It's not plant-based. It's fairly low on the carbon chain, but we're really trying to fill up our plate with a lot of vegetables first. Here's one of our quick tips for doing things fast. We'll take a couple of cups of spinach, throw it in a bowl, put it in our microwave and microwave it for 2 minutes. It doesn't look quite as attractive here, but once you put something on it, this is our fast and easy cooking.
One of the other things that we do is we make pasta out of, believe it or not, a zucchini. And we bought a spiralizer, which is the little shaped, the little cone-shaped things. It works magically to produce noodle-like pasta, well, not pasta, but zucchini from a zucchini. And then you can nuke that zucchini noodles for just a couple of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and then it's hot and bubbly and topped with your favorite spaghetti sauce, whether marinara or a pesto or whatever, garlic and butter, whatever sauce. And it's a terrific spaghetti-like replacement that's a huge vegetable dish. It's fantastic, and we love the zoodler or the spiralizer. Right?
Yeah, we really like vegetables, I would say. There are lots of other quick veggies, celery with peanut butter. We like to steam whole cauliflower for 10 to 12 minutes and sprinkle with Parmesan or nutritional yeast. We make lots of salads. We do butternut squash for 20 minutes in the microwave, and it's provides a lot of, it fills up half our plate.
So we use a lot of vegetables. But we also need to have at least a quarter of your plate from the original diagram, a quarter of the plate of food items that have protein in them. So some of the things that we use are beans. Sometimes we use canned beans, garbanzo beans, black beans, and other kinds of beans. We also use red or many kinds of lentils. And say this one for me.
Edamame.
Edamame. And these all are plant-based protein sources to fill up that quarter of the plate of protein.
And I would say one of the advantages of lentils is that they cook up in 20 minutes, which is compared to working with a dried bean. There are other plant-based proteins that are, slightly more processed. we try them all. We particularly like this spaghetti that's made from chickpeas. We've gone crazy recently on baked tofu that we cube and put in the air fryer for 10 minutes. And then we can put it on a salad or on the side of a dish. The Beyond Burger, we like to serve that up to people that are new to plant-based eating. So there are a lot of different things that are convenient if you want to try them.
As Mandy just said, one of the things that we have is our go-to is chickpea spaghetti. It's amazing to me, but they make spaghetti. It's just like pasta spaghetti, and it's made with chickpeas. And we use it with a regular spaghetti sauce or marinara sauce. And if you use it, if it's hot and you sprinkle it with nutritional yeast, it's very similar to Parmesan cheese. Or you can use a little Parmesan cheese if you want to make it taste. But this is one of the sources where you've got protein in your pasta. So it's a good source of protein.
Here's our air fryer, which is out on our deck, and you can see our tomatoes growing in the background. We love to air fry already marinated tofu. We also do it ourselves, but we serve it on a salad, eat as a snack, or eat next to vegetables.
You should do this one since you make the yogurt.
I make the yogurt. I'm really learning how to do some new things, and I like the fact that I'm using these 3 products. Soy beverage from Trader Joe's is agar, which is a gelatin flake you get at Whole Foods, and half a cup of yogurt. And I can make up soy yogurt in the oven. You just put on the light and keep it warm. And I'm really cutting down on the amount of plastic that we're using, and it costs a lot less than buying cartons of yogurt, and you can do it also with coconut milk or almond milk or other products.
Or real milk too.
Or real milk.
So the last quarter.
We just call that cow's milk.
Yes, cow's milk. I say no.
Real. So the last quarter of your plate, half of the plate is vegetables and fruit. 1/4 is protein, plant-based protein. And the last quarter is other whole grains and starches. There's a variety of whole grains and starches that you can add to your diet to make it fully healthy. Brown rice, quinoa, oats, barley from the grains, potatoes, whole grain bread and whole grain pasta all count in this 1/4 of a plate for your meals. So this would be 1/4 of your plate on sort of an average every time. But in addition to these,
I was going to add on this. All these grains also contain protein. So do most of the vegetables contain a bit of protein. So you're getting protein from many different ways.
And
we also like to throw in some healthy fats from plants that we enjoy. We love the avocado. We love nuts. I didn't put salmon on there.
I did.
That's not a plant. An olive, chia seeds. There's lots of different oils. Some people are the more purists who are whole food plant-based, maybe don't eat these oils and would eat the avocado and these items here, which are less processed. And I was going to show you quickly a homemade mayo that I just recently learned to make. And again, I feel like it's nice to be able to make it in a glass jar, not bring home more plastic from the store, and make it in a quantity that works for us.
Now, wait, Amanda, are you saying you don't use any kind of an egg substitute, that it simply thickens up because of the power of the immersion blender?
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. And it takes 2 minutes. So I would encourage you all to try this. If you have an immersion blender, you might be able to do it in a regular blender, but half a cup of olive oil and 1/4 cup of soy milk and the apple cider vinegar, and put in the immersion blender. I put it right inside the jar, mix it up, and it's ready to go.
And it doesn't separate later. It stays thick and mayonnaise.
It stays good. I just keep it for a week.
Sure.
I make it in a small quantity.
We use it for if we ever have artichokes. It makes up a fresh batch for artichokes. It's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
We love artichokes. Okay, so the other thing that we do, and this has maybe to do with locavore, which is one of the themes of this presentation, is local produce. And we have local produce 18 feet away from us on our deck. My wife did the fantastic herbs, and we grow basil and parsley, mint and cilantro, rosemary out on the deck and in table small pots and clip them off to use them. And we also have 3 big containers of strawberries, tomatoes, some cherry tomatoes and some big heirloom tomatoes. And it's been a funny year for tomatoes. I wouldn't say it was our best year, but we have some fantastic heirloom tomatoes and lots of cherry tomatoes. It's growing to the end of the year now, I think. But anyhow, we do grow a bunch of stuff on our deck that we use in our cooking.
And then we use lots of spices to keep it interesting and fresh. And all of these come from plants. Here's my favorite. It's called a zester, a microplaner. This one is actually a woodworking tool. But we love it. And as I said, we just try and have fun in the kitchen with our basic ingredients and then some nice spices. We personally supplement. So I would say if you're planning on going 100% plant-based, you might want to look at B12 and flax oil for your omega-3s. And we threw in magnesium. I've just recently started taking it, and it really helps you sleep better. So
this is a personal testimonial.
Testimonial.
Okay. So why would we want to eat a planet-friendly diet? And one of the reasons is to reduce your livestock, your contribution of livestock, because Project Drawdown, which is a well-recognized effort to try to determine how we can recover reduce the climate change, includes livestock agriculture and food waste in the top 5 factors to reduce the greenhouse gases. So it isn't just, as we used to say, you are what you eat, but actually it's you and the earth are what you eat. So we'd like to reduce greenhouse gases. The planet-friendly eating team here in Rossmoor, in Sustainable Rossmoor, encourages plant-friendly eating 1 bite at a time by eating lower on the food chain to help reduce and reverse climate change. And if you're looking for more information, you might try the Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge, they have eating lower on the carbon chain as one of the actions that you could take. You can also experiment with new recipes and try to find some support from your family or from other groups with ideas and events that help you eat plant-based diets. I've taken a plant-based cooking class, and that was a great idea that opened a lot of ideas. And lastly, we're strong supporters of Meatless Monday. It's an organization that you can get their newsletter and see them on Instagram. You can get weekly recipes and inspiration and reminders. So in the next slide.
On Sustainable Rossmoor, our planet-friendly eating team has a website where we quote a lot from Project Drawdown. It really is a big impetus for us. We believe that if everyone did a bit, it would have a huge impact. Sustainable Rossmore also adopted Meatless Monday, so we have their website there, and they have a great weekly newsletter with lots of ideas for recipes. And again, we would like people eating more plants all days of the week, but they definitely have some very interesting recipe ideas. And another group we like is Reducitarians, which are bringing together the 3 different types of people that push for plant-based eating, whether you're for kindness to animals, for health, or for the environment. They want to bring together a big tent of people to encourage everyone to get on board with eating less meat and eating more plants.
And if you want to contact either one of us, that's fine. We also have a Planet Friendly Eating Instagram account. Please go and have a look. It's full of some of the things that we have made, some of the things our daughter has made, and other friendly people who are in the same mode. What?
Yeah.
And so if you type in Planet, if you go to Instagram and follow Planet _ Friendly _ Eating, you'll see some of the stuff that we've made and
the members of our team.
And other members of our team too. Our email, AmandaCasey@gmail.com, Amanda Jane Casey at email, and Dave Casey at Comcast. If you have any questions or want to follow up, please contact us. We'd love to talk with you.
Thank you guys so much. I'm stepping in for Colleen for a second because she's getting ready to do a wonderful demonstration for us. But before she does, just real quick, I thought maybe you guys would have a drawdown visual, and I want to just make sure everybody gets, because some people take things in more visually. So Project Drawdown is pretty amazing, and they've researched more than 80. This is just the top 80 things that can help us literally reduce, draw down the carbon in the atmosphere, not just stop carbon increase. And if you'll notice here, the top 5. So refrigeration and wind turbines, those are technical things. Those involve politics, manufacturing. They're important. We need to pay attention. But look at number 3 and number 4, reduce food waste and a plant-rich diet. So that's what Amanda and Dave are talking about. These other solutions are important, and the drawdown is always very clear that we need to do every single one. So it's not just, oh, let's do the top 5 and we're fine, but it is rather, shall we say, sobering to see the impact of those particular ones in the top. So I just wanted to share that real quick, and thank you guys so much. I knew you would hit it out of the park, and same to Linda also for your great presentation. So over to you, Colleen, who has some interesting dishes to share, I believe, that involve chickpeas. Is that right?
That's correct. Can you hear me all right?
Pretty good. Yeah, you could be slightly louder.
Okay, I will project. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Colleen. Welcome to my home kitchen. And I have been a vegetarian for about 3 years now. It's been a lot of fun, partly because I love to cook. And one of my goals was to try to increase my intake of fruits and veggies. So here on this table, I have 2 things that will be your best friends if you want to eat a more plant-rich diet. First, we have black beans. And both of these are super cheap, easy to get. And black beans, as you probably know, are fantastic in tacos, in fajitas. You can fry them up with some onions and bell peppers. You can toss them on salads, and they're also great to mash up for veggie burgers. But tonight, as Tyler said, I'm going to focus on chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans. And these are a fantastic addition to your pantry because they can work for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or even dessert. So tonight I'm going to share two really simple recipes, both about 5 minutes, that you can use to increase, plants in your diet. And the great thing about both of these ingredients, the chickpeas and the black beans, are that they are a fantastic source of protein. When I first went vegetarian, every week I would talk to my grandmother, good habit to get into, and she would always ask, "Are you getting enough protein?" I said, "Yes, don't worry." And we have these beans that have been around for so long, it's gonna work out. We're gonna get plenty of protein. So the first recipe can be for lunch or dinner. This is called chickpea salad. And this is a great substitute for something like chicken salad or tuna salad. And even my housemates who love their steak, barbecue quite a bit, they really enjoy this. It's very filling, it's healthy, and it has some freshness to it too. So in this bowl here, I have 2 cans of crushed chickpeas. If you have this gadget, you can use it. It is a meat tenderizer, but I use it to crush beans, or you can just use 2 forks. So I crushed my chickpeas. Next, I have a few mix-ins, and you can customize these. I have some dill pickles. You can use any pickles you like. I have bell pepper, green onion, and celery. I also have garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and chop these up. I thought I would make this realistic for us and chop them up in real time, so you can all time me and see how long I do.
You just have to make witty remarks while you're chopping.
That's true. So this recipe is really customizable based on what you like. There's no way to do it wrong. You can make it chunky. You can make it really, really smooth if you like mayonnaise. Toss those in. I have my bell peppers ready to go. Now some green onions. I've been watching those YouTube videos with people trying to cut up obscure fruits and veggies in preparation for this. Good knife skills.
Knife skills. That's all about the knife skills.
Okay, finally, we just have our garlic. A good hack for this is you can throw it in a container. You can shake it around to get all the skins off. Or if you have a gadget, you can use that. I typically just crush them.
Yeah, I did try that shaking them around in a bowl method, and it really works. It loosens the skins very nicely.
Yes, and then for all of your ingredients, you can just roughly chop them. With the garlic, you might want to mince it because it is raw. I love garlic, so I like to put in a lot. This recipe usually calls for 2 cloves, but I like doing 3 to 4. And this is a great recipe because it's to your taste. So you can add the quantities that you prefer. And it might turn out a little bit different each time, but then you will know what you want. Okay, so I have all of my bigger mix-ins in my bowl. You can see it's already looking green. And next, we're going to add our more liquid elements. So you're going to want some lemon or lime juice. Throw that in. And that just helps this stay fresh longer. It prevents some oxidation. We have some mustard. You can use the mustard of your choice. About 2 teaspoons. Next is mayonnaise. If you want to make this completely plant-based, you can use a vegan option. This is actually made by Best Foods, and I cannot tell the difference. So I'd highly recommend this. There's also Vegenaise, which is very popular. So you want to add, I'd say about 6 tablespoons, but again, this is to your taste. If you want it really creamy, you can add a lot. And next, we just have salt and pepper. And if you want, you can even add fresh herbs like parsley or dill. Dill is a great addition to this. And now I'm just going to mix it all up. So this is something I really like making for lunch. In the middle of the workday, if you're working from home especially, you can throw this together super quickly. And there's no shame, about having half of the recipe in one sitting or having it late at night after going out, because it's really healthy, it's filling, and it tastes like a treat to me. Like, it's very savory and delicious. So that is the chickpea salad. This is delicious with pita bread. You can have a sandwich, you can have it on crackers, but I'd highly recommend this. This is based on a recipe from Oh She Glows. It's a food blog, but I will make sure to share it in the follow-up email as well. Okay, so that was our savory chickpea recipe. And now we're going to transition to a sweeter one. And I know what you're thinking. Chickpeas are really savory. What could I possibly do with a dessert? They are really silky, actually. They can be blended up into puddings, and you can make this awesome whipped cream substitute for them. So right here in this bowl, I have something called aquafaba. And aquafaba is the liquid found inside a jar of chickpeas. If you get dry beans and you cook them, you will also get a liquid like this. And it's found with other white beans as well, like navy beans. So whether you get them in a can or you cook them, make sure you save that liquid. And I'm going to show you a plant-based whipped cream you can make. So this is going to take about 3 minutes to whip. If you have some assistance, if you don't, it might take a little longer, but for the sake of tonight's segment, I'm going to take a shortcut. And as you start whipping, you'll see it froths up just like egg whites, so I'm going to keep going. It's quite frothy, but we want to get past that and get some stiff peaks.
That's amazing.
You've got us captivated, Colleen.
Okay, so it's starting to get stiffer. I'm going to test it. I don't think we're there yet. But you can see it's a lot thicker there. So we might just need 1 more minute.
Amazing. I said that already.
I said captivating it before too.
Okay, stiff peaks now. If you're not familiar, a stiff peak is when you lift your whisk or your mixer out of your meringue or aquafaba, and you see that it forms almost a little mountain, and the tip does not fall over, it stays straight up. So that's what I'm getting right now. You can see how I have that little peak. And so now I know that I'm ready to add a couple mix-ins. So first I have a cream of tartar. This is typically used in egg white meringue, and this is just going to help this stay stiff. And you want between 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon for this. I'm just going to eye it, and I'm going to mix that in. And you can just mix it in gradually. You don't need to mix it really fast, just to incorporate it. Okay, so again, my meringues are, or I should say my aquafaba meringue is stiff. I have cream of tartar, and it's pretty much ready to go. We are just going to add some vanilla for flavor. And you could add another extract if you wanted. I'm going to add about a teaspoon.
Vanilla, maybe?
And again, I just incorporated that, and I'm at stiff peaks. So now it's time for the taste test. It is really good. The vanilla is needed a little bit more than if you were making a meringue with egg whites, just because this has a tiny bit of a bean tang to it, but it could easily be added to with a little powdered sugar if you want to make it sweet. And this would be great for putting on top of a pie, on top of oatmeal, or any dessert of your choice. But I love chickpeas because they're so versatile. You can throw them in a curry for dinner, which is super fast. You can do a hash for breakfast with sweet potatoes. And I'd highly recommend just using a really easy recipe and testing them out, trying to use them more. There's a great website called the Fridge Finder, which helps you find recipes based on what's left in your fridge and your pantry.
That's clever.
And finally, I just wanted to give a shout out to all the resources that are out there for plant-rich eating. And first is that if you want to eat more veggies, Indian cuisine is going to be your best friend. Indian cuisine has so many plant-based dishes, and they can be easily modified if they do have meat. So definitely check that out. You can also still have really comforting things like cinnamon rolls, macaroni and cheese. I just made a spinach artichoke dip with tofu, and that was really good. So check out things that mention comfort food. This is called Vegan Comfort Cooking. There's also great resources, blogs all over the internet, like Cookie and Kate. I have this delicious cookbook from them. Love real food. And finally, you can't go wrong with desserts or the Sunset Vegetarian Cooking Book. So again, if you have any questions about veggie cooking, you can reach out to the Planet Friendly Eating Group, or you can go to the Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge and find a lot of resources there under the action, Eat Lower Down the Carbon Chain.
Bravo, bravo, Colleen. I will let you get settled and then be available for other questions, because we have a couple here that we can pass on to various people. But the last two are about your whipped aquafaba, which was the big hit, I would be willing to say. But I do want to just remind folks that the Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge is something that you can use to reduce your carbon footprint across the board in your whole life. And it isn't just a sort of a cheerleading platform. It is chock full of resources for you to learn how to do these things. For example, with this eating lower down on the carbon chain action, but every other kind of carbon reduction action in your life, from transportation to energy to water conservation and beyond. So do check that out. We'll mention that again in a second when we do our tip of the month. So the two questions that came about your fabulous whipped creation there, Colleen, one was if it was made from canned beans, wouldn't it be salty? And I presume you're using unsalted, salt-free garbanzos or not?
So I would definitely suggest using low sodium or unsalted beans, just because that might add a little bit of taste. But even if, there's some sodium in the can, you can add powdered sugar. That would be great. You could add some plant-based milk or cow's milk. You would just have to add some additional whipping time, and that would smooth out the flavor a little bit. But again, you can add in things, and that would.
And it occurs to me you could make it a savory thing too. I noticed some of these very fancy restaurants, the Michelin-starred restaurants, are now creating various kinds of foams and things like that go on their savory dishes as well as the way we think of whipped cream. The other question was about this: would an immersion blender work for the chickpea cream?
I personally haven't used an immersion blender for this recipe. Immersion blenders are really handy for soups, so you don't have to put the soup from the pot into a blender. You can just blend it there. I would think it might. I would suggest looking that up on the internet. It might just take longer because the immersion blender has a smaller radius of where it's mixing, and it's most useful for chopping things up and making them very smooth. It might not aerate it in the same way that a whisk or a mixer might. And then on the topic of savory things, this might be really good as a substitute for sour cream. So if you're making latkes, if you want it to be really creamy, I'd suggest adding some plant-based milk. But that will not weigh it down. You just want to whip it a little more, and it'll be creamier with that milk in there.
Wonderful. Okay, I have a question that any of our guests could answer. So I don't know if you want to change your location or not, Colleen, but I'm going to open it up to everybody. Linda and Dave and Amanda, what has been the biggest surprise for you in going planet friendly with your diet?
You should probably answer that. This Dave Casey.
Yeah.
One answer is I never thought I would like it, and now it's perfectly fine, and I like many, many things that we eat all the time, even though I was a very hard convert in the very beginning. Wouldn't you say?
Kicking and screaming, is that accurate, Dave?
But it's very comfortable now, and I'm happy I'm doing it, and thank goodness that we have the opportunity to do it. We have the food sources and things available to us here.
Yeah, for sure. Linda, did you have an answer to that?
Yeah, well, actually, I transitioned away from meat very gradually during the 90s. And I just kind of forgot about it. It just got moved off my plate. And then I began to learn more about animals. So that wasn't a surprise because I didn't set out to do it. So maybe that's the surprise.
It just happened organically. Ha, ha, ha.
Right. Well, also, I must say, I have heard that you make cream out of a chickpea juice. I never believed that for a minute. And when I think of all the chickpea juice I've poured down the drain, I'm not going to do that anymore. So thank you, Colleen, for that demo and for suggesting it could be either sweet or savory. That sounds fantastic.
Wonderful. All right. If anyone else has any questions, you put them in the chat or use the Zoom hand raising feature. Am I forgetting anything, Colleen? You're back in your host chair now. So
I would say that something to remember is that it's much more important to eat consciously and reduce the animal products you're eating if you can, rather than going cold turkey. Just because everyone has different levels of what they're able to do. It's not possible for everyone in the world to go vegetarian or vegan. It's much more meaningful for you to try new things, to share with others, to talk with them, and just to learn gradually and try new things. But like I said, my goal was to become a little more conscious about what I was eating, to eat more fruits and veggies. You still can find delicious vegan junk food, but it's a great way to, be more conscious about what you're eating and just reduce a little bit when you can.
That's wonderful. Amanda, do you see that question, Colleen,
Yeah,
about magnesium?
I'll have to go and get it. But it's I think it's 500 grams in a capsule, and it's magnesium oxide, magnesium citrate, glycate, and something else. I'll send it to you, Laurel. But I
think, glycinate, I have heard, is a form of magnesium that is absorbed very effectively, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
Not glyphosate, which is Roundup. We don't want that.
No glyphosate.
It's a big hit in this house.
Yeah. Okay, and then we can't stop talking about the chickpeas. The question is, can the juice be kept for a while, Colleen, if you don't want to make the whipped product right away? Do you think that it would keep?
Yes, it can keep for a week in the fridge or 4 months in the freezer. And then someone asked about it being salty. If it is an unsalted can, it will not be salty. But I would suggest, just in general, adding a little bit of powdered sugar if you want it to be sweet, a little bit of vanilla, or plant-based milk.
Okay. Do you want me to do the tip of the month? Have we settled with our questions?
Yes, I'm eager to run to the kitchen and get my mixer out.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will segue to the tip of the month, which is, guess what? Big surprise there. But this is a way to emphasize that Buy Local, Buy Organic is a choice on the Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge, as well as the one that we've been talking about a lot, Eat Lower Down on the Carbon Chain. Those are two different sets of actions that you can commit to, and there are some others that have to do with food. But I just wanted to summarize this and remind you that these resources are all there for you on the challenge. Linda talked about the USD organic label, one of the few labels that is regulated. There's a lot of other ones, natural and things like that are not regulated, so no guarantee what they mean. But USDA organic has a legal definition. Good. Farmers markets, we cannot say it enough how important they are for staying local and getting fresh seasonal fruit. There's a great link there at the Ecology Center to find farmers markets near you. All of these links will be in the follow-up email that we send out, along with a recording of a YouTube of tonight's program. Buying local, we talk about reducing our food print and keeping food nearby so that there's less resources to get it to us, but it also keeps money in the local economy. I like this statistic: out of every $100 spent, 68 stays in the community if it's to a local business versus 43 if it's a non-local business. And then Linda already shared the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 or whatever it was. So I threw a few of those on there, as particularly the ones you want to look for the organic versions of in terms of fruits and veggies.
What are you talking about? And
then buying in season. And, if you can do it, it's actually, my experience has been, it's really fun to say, oh my God, blueberries have arrived.
Yeah.
Instead of every day I could go to Safeway and buy some blueberries if I feel like it. No, if you're buying at the farmer's market, you have to wait. And when they're here, it's a great celebration. And you eat more of them, and then they're gone. But, we do live in California. If we lived in North Dakota, seasonal eating is a little harder, for sure. And local eating is a little harder. But we have all kinds of good things in the winter. Maybe not blueberries, but a lot of other good things. So experiment with that. And of course, Linda touched on growing your own food. Not only can you do that if you have backyard space, but you could find a community garden if you don't have a way to grow them yourself on your own space. So the Master Gardeners website has all of those resources. And again, the Cleaner Contra Costa Challenge is the place for you to commit to these actions. Join with your family and friends, form a team. That's the beauty of this program. And take these actions together, learn from each other, encourage each other. We are all in this together. So that's what makes it work. All righty, I'm going to touch on these upcoming events and then we will wrap it up. We have a home energy upgrade workshop coming up on September 15th. All the resources you might need for any upgrades you're considering to your home, heating and cooling and energy conservation systems, and find out about the rebates, which could be up to $5,000 on lots of different upgrades. This is a free online workshop. Also, that same day, and yes, you can do both because they're at different times, is the Green Sofa Cinema Series, this time a movie called Disobedience. It's the book club model where you watch the movie on your own, then you come together on that date for a discussion. And it's a very fascinating film about some folks deciding to use civil disobedience to make their point about the climate crisis. They're not telling everybody they have to go out and chain themselves to a fence, but they are showing the power of that kind of action. And finally, our big event of the year is our Sustainability Awards celebration. It is, again, an online event this year, but it's always lots of fun. Our theme is Emerging Stronger. We will have 7 fabulous winners doing work in a lot of different arenas that we will honor. We'll hear from them. We'll hear from some of our county supervisors and a special guest who's an environmental scientist who has a very inspiring point of view. So all of that is on our website at sustainablecocoa.org. And we encourage you to take a survey on the Sustainability Live page of our website to tell us what you thought of tonight's show. And you don't have to write all this down. This will be in the follow-up email that we send out. Quick mention of energy conservation resources for you. Energy Upgrade California has some great messages and solutions for you to think about conserving energy in a lot of different ways. And then there's the Bayran folks that put on the workshop I told you about on September 15th. Both of those websites and all of this information can be found on our energy conservation page at sustainablecocoa.org. Finally, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and our YouTube channel, where there will be a YouTube of this program that you can share with your family and friends and rewatch. And that will probably be ready to watch by the end of the day tomorrow. But like I say, you'll get an email. Send us an email with a question to info@, and we do appreciate your support. This program is free to produce, but no, the other way around, free to watch, but not free to produce. So please consider a donation in support of this work at sustainablecocoa.org/support. There we go. Do you have?
I would like to thank Colleen and Tyler. You are wonderful hosts and moderators. And I've done many presentations, so I want to thank you for doing a wonderful job.
Well, it's been great to have you. And Colleen has our closing credits. Thank you to both of our guests.
This has been Sustainability Live, a production of Sustainable Contra Costa. Our goals for this show are to provide you with useful and timely information about all aspects of living sustainably, guided by the 10 One Planet Living principles, and to provide an online community for sharing information and learning together. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Central SAN, Contra Costa County Green Business Network, MCE, EcoMulch, Republic Services, Contra Costa Water District, Recycle Smart, Tri-Delta Transit, Mount Diablo Resource Recovery, and the cities of Martinez, Walnut Creek, Moraga, Antioch, and Pittsburgh. The full list of our sponsors is on our website. Thank you as well to our Sustainability Live crew, producer Gotham Sathasan, director Mark Westwind, technical director Tyler Snordham Phelps, and I'm your host, Colleen Noland. For more information about One Planet Living and all of Sustainable Contra Costa's programs, activities, and events, please visit our website at sustainablecocoa.org.
Thanks, everybody. It was great. Good night.